All right, good morning. What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Thomas Rashard Easley here online on Periscope. I looked at the people that I had who were like my normal or my usual followers. They're calling y'all super fans now, so they're giving y'all this name, super fans in Periscope. So I figured I would, instead of just get online and excuse this. This is vapor rub that you see right here because I had been dealing with a little bit of a sickness early in the week, but I'm great. So I figure instead of just kind of going out live and doing something over Periscope and then just having anybody jump online, I figured that I'd be a little bit more specific and just at least for this first post, reach out, to the people who are my normal. So we really shouldn't have a problem with people coming in on this post today and doing anything crazy like they've have in the past. So good morning, Miss Sanders. It's great to see you as well. And I really hope you all are doing good on the second Sunday in 2017, January 8th. Oh, my goodness. We already made it to 2017. So that means that I finished 2016 by putting a post on Periscope for, I guess, what is it, like 4 straight months. So I actually did that. I'm proud of that I accomplished the goal because I wanted to be, really, really consistent in doing that. And I did it. So anyway, I hope you all are doing well. I see Talitha actually did jump on, and then I see Miss Sanders got on. So I appreciate you all. And so I want to, really just kind of say a couple of things this morning. I don't have like a prepared message, not because I'm in vacation mode or nothing like that. We're here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we got snow and ice outside. If you were in the Triangle area, you might be in your house, relaxing, staying safe, I hope, and hopefully staying warm. You haven't lost power. I'm fortunate that I did not. And so I'm just happy to be on here with you all this morning. So let's just have like a nice little conversation here. Just to kind of kick it off, because I think that I know that what I want to do this year, I think, is to, I think just kind of, I don't want to sound too cliche. I want to admit something though, and I don't want to sound like I'm the originator of it, but I don't know if you follow me like on Facebook, if you follow me on Twitter or on YouTube, obviously here, and even on SoundCloud. I'm starting to post some things on SoundCloud. And so what I'm seeing now is that I'm seeing a lot of people now who are doing exactly what at least I've been doing, but the truth is I know I'm doing what other people have been doing. So I don't want to sound like, it's like people jumping on and now everybody's doing something and trying to make it sound like I'm the originator or this terminally unique individual. But I do notice that a lot more people are starting to post things online and and going, and coming at people live. And I think that that's a great thing. I think that's one of the awesome things about the internet, and about this whole World Wide Web. And technically, you realize it's still in its infancy. I mean, what it really kind of launched like in the 90s, I think, and we're only in 2017. So we really only have less than 3 decades of this. And how far we can go with this, I have no idea. But I just wanted to check in here on Periscope, because talk to the people who have been following me and say that I want to continue this in 2017, and I will. I just may kind of switch it up a little bit. So let me explain what I mean by that. Yesterday I watched 2 movies. One really had a major impact on my life when I was younger, and another movie I can already tell is going to have a major impact on me now and continuing on. So I watched this film. It's an old film, came out in 1993, called Menace II Society. It's produced by the Hughes brothers, Alan and Albert Hughes, starring Tyrone Turner and Lorenz Tate. Tyrone Turner played the main character, Kane, and Lorenz Tate played the other main character, O-Dog. And that film came out when I was a teenager, and as I was watching it yesterday, it was just something to see how the memories of what I used to be into and what I used to do with my boys, the truth is I basically could have been Kane, the main character. And so, the guy that kind of really wants to kind of have his life together, but because of how he grew up and what he was subjected to, didn't really make the best decisions in his life, but he made enough decisions at the point where he could have gotten out of the situation, and gotten out of his neighborhood or out of that environment, but he had done too much that by the time it was time to go, he ends up losing his life because he basically did too much to go forward. And so that movie basically ends sadly. It shows how we're all victims of our environment. and and you know how we definitely have to make better choices so that we can be. Yeah, that movie had a major impact, Ms. Sanders. You're right, and so how we have to make better choices to have a better life. Okay, and so regardless of where you came from, and I think the scene that really jumped out at me the most in that film was the scene when he actually went to see kind of this guy that's kind of like his mentor in jail. You know, and this is after he's basically really kind of entering a relationship with this woman who used to be with the guy he's going to see in jail. And the guy in jail is like on life without parole. So I'm going to assume obviously he did a really bad crime, got caught. But now that he's in jail, you can see like his eyes are open and he's seeing the world differently. So it was the part of when he told Kane, he said, he told her, he said, go with her, because she was moving to Atlanta. They lived in California. She was moving to Atlanta, Georgia. He said, go with her, Kane, and raise my son and teach my son that the way we grew up was BS. You know, and I thought that was such a big part of the movie, because it was like kind of, I felt like up until that point in the movie, Kane was basically kind of walking on, he was kind of walking in the median. And it was like, I want to, you know, it basically like, I want a better life, you know, and then on the other side is I want to stay in the hood. And what I really realized is what he was doing in the film is he was walking on the median of life that says either I want to live or I want to die. I'm okay if I'm alive, or I'm okay if I die. And it really seemed like after that point in the film, he was okay with living. Like he knew, because at the beginning of the film, his grandfather asked him if he cared if he lived or died. And he said, I don't know. And but here at the end of the film, he made up his mind that he wants to live. However, it was too late. He had already done so many things that would catch up with him, and then he ended up passing away. But that scene really got me, man. I mean, you know, like that scene really touched me, because what that scene represented to me is we all may have an opportunity in our life to either make a critical decision that decides if we go on this certain place for the rest of our life, which could be positive, or if we can go a certain place in the rest of our life that would be negative, you know. And so it just at the wrong time, or at the late hour, he decided to go positive, and it was too late. Now I want to talk about this other film that I went to see called Hidden Figures. That was a great movie about Mary Jackson, about Dorothy Vaughan, and about Katherine Johnson. Yeah, I want to remember that, because it kept saying she was the primary character, Katherine Johnson, formerly Catherine Goebel. And man, this movie. First, I gotta take a drink to talk about this. I'm sorry, hold up. This movie was outstanding. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it for you. Okay, I really don't, even though I really do. But this movie was outstanding. I loved seeing first I loved seeing black women, you know, just at the height, you know, of their career. I mean, there were so many scenes, like, you know, the women, they were going through hell, they were tore up, and I still love how the black women, they just look so good. You know, just the resiliency of our queens, you know. It's just like, man, I'll be glad when our society gets back to the point where we kind of, I don't say put somebody above another, but, you know, really elevate our women, man, because to me, it's like that's where you really get a lot of the peace and innovation from, because these are the vessels, these are the beings that bring life into this world. And so to see, you know, these women, they're mothers, but they're basically human computers and engineers working at NASA. And to see what they had to overcome and what they had to go through to, in all honesty, really just to be recognized. I'm going to say that, you know, just to be recognized, even though they were already established within their own right because of how fast they got to where they were in their life, you know, working at NASA, basically working with astronauts and other scientists and other engineers. So in seeing that film, just like in seeing Menace II Society, I noticed that there's something that they both had in common. So Menace II Society came out in 1993, right? And yes, right, amen to the elevation of our women. 1993. And here you got this young man who's subject to gangs, violence, police brutality, and basically racism, you know, destitute, you know, circumstances, parents, got, lost in the game of life, and both of them passed away. So he's basically being raised in a way with no guidance, even though he was raised by his grandparents. I definitely know what that's like. And so, but the stuff that he was subjected to, I'm like, it's 2017 and it's still going on. We still have neighborhoods that are struggling like that and that are battling like that, and people still trying to make right decisions for their life so that they can have a positive or a great or creative future. And the stuff that people are subjected to is what contributes to them not getting where they need to be or where they want to be in their life. So that was that. Then looking at the three queens, Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, and Katherine Johnson. And we talking like 1962, 1956, we talking like the 50s and the 60s. And the fact that you have people who are offering so much to the organization and have so much to offer to the organization, but because of the color of their skin, and in this situation, also because of gender, they were not heard. But what I liked is that, and it's the kind of thing that I noticed, and it happened in the film of Taraji P. Henson. She is just like, come on. We need some awards coming that sister's way, like right now. And Janelle Monáe, as well as Octavia. Yep, Jane Crow. Yeah, that's it. Jim Crow, Jane Crow. Polly Murray, don't get me started. And she coined that term. Saint Polly Murray coined that term, Jane Crow. That they were still subjected to the same stuff. And I'll admit, I am a victim of that, even in today's time. And if you're black and if you're a woman, I guarantee you probably are subject to that right now, still going through it. If you are a person of color, I don't use the term minority to describe people of color because there's nothing minor about us, and around the world, we are the majority. So I don't use that word to describe us like that. You don't even attach that on me. Matter of fact, don't even use that to describe me, because that is not me. I'm more major than anybody who calls me a minority. I'm going to tell you like that. But the only way for you to be heard, at least this film showed it, and even in the Menace II Society, it's like, the way to be heard is you have to basically make a sound. You have to make some noise. And what Menace II Society showed me is that, like, there was a scene when the guys were, pulled over by the cops, and basically they made a lot of noise. But when you make noise and you're doing it at the wrong time, or you're doing it in a way where people cannot hear you because you're not making it in a time when you're trying to elevate or benefit yourself and your people, at least I can say it's going to be hard for people to hear that. And if they have more power than you, then they exercise that power over you. And that's what those ignorant police did in that film. Whereas in Hidden Figures, when Katherine Johnson made some noise, and Mary Jackson made some noise, and Dorothy Vaughan made noise. They made noise when they were in the position of trying to enhance their life and enhance their personal economy, enhance their own livelihood, and they're doing it in a way that, like, they're not doing anything wrong, okay, but they're still, like, battling this inertia of racism and sexism because of the ignorance and the stupidity of other people. But when they made noise, people actually heard them. Now, here's the difference, though. They made noise, and they had to keep making noise. It was a consistent noise maker. Like Janelle Monáe's character, she wanted to be an engineer. So she had to keep making noise, and she had to keep pushing. Dorothy Vaughan wanted to be a supervisor. She had to keep making noise, and she had to keep pushing. Katherine Johnson wanted to, basically be in the room, helping the people save the lives of the astronauts that are going up, because she's the one that's made it so that what y'all are doing is working. So it's like, none of these women were really trying to be selfish and just be, and blow up. They were trying to be helpful, but be helpful in the way that worked for them. Helpful in the way that you heard, what I'm saying, but this also works out for me, meaning that I have some power, I have some influence, and I can take care of myself, and I have access to the same things that you have access to. So we basically can grow as peers instead of this, I call you by a title, you call me by my first name. And so to bring this, kind of, I guess, to codify this into, what's the point, Thomas? What are you saying? Well, in 2017, what I really want to continue on, which is what I started in 2016, but really be more intentional about it, is joy and peace. Joy and peace. What does it take for me to be peaceful, to have peace? What does it take for me to have joy? And both of them, there's one common denominator, at least with both of them. And it's the choice that you make to have both of them. You have to make a choice to say, I want a joyful and a peaceful life. The other thing about both of them is that they both can be impacted by external stimuli, but it's really maintained and created by internal stimuli. Like there's something internally that has to happen. You have to make a choice. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to feed yourself the proper food or the proper notions or the proper lessons or whatever so that you can keep going. And what I liked in that film is the three ladies basically were like their own support unit. You know, like they would have to help each other. Mary Jackson needed to, in order for her to be an engineer, she had to get another degree. Even though, you know, it seemed like every time, you know, you get to a certain level, you know, the devil or the perpetrator, or I'm going to call them idiots, change the rules and they keep moving the bar higher, you know. And so it sucks that we have to continue to pursue and move with that bar. The supervisor, that was Dorothy Vaughan. She figured out the IBM machine and, you know, brought out, like she said, I'm bringing my girls, basically bringing the women who are human computers in to fix this. And I guess at that point, a man-made computer, literally men, you know, fix it. Took a woman, right, you know, to fix a man-made problem. Hello. And then I think the star of the film being Katherine Johnson. I want to say Catherine Goebel because that's what she was the majority of the film. But then she got remarried to the man she was married to for 56 years. Hello, talk about black love being revolutionary. She wanted to make sure that, in particular, John Glenn didn't die. You know, she wanted to make sure that this initiative, you know, that we're doing is successful. But they had to keep making noise, and they had to motivate each other, and they had to support each other, and they really had to help each other. You know, they had to help each other with their own patience, help each other with even being open to another relationship. They had to help each other with that. They had to kind of push each other to keep going and go after what you want. So what I'm saying is that you can go about that one or two ways. You can go about it in a very angry, victimized way, which means that you're going to act entitled, which they did not. Or you can go at this in a very peaceful and joyful way. But it doesn't mean that everything's going to be quiet. It just means that you're going to have to make noise and you have to know why you're doing what you're doing, right? So then that brings this for the last few minutes that I have on here to the whole point of why I like to do this, which is the ministry portion of what, you know, Dr. Thomas Richard Easley is about. I do identify as a follower of Jesus. And so when I speak to people, I like to speak to people with that Holy Spirit, talk to people through either that lens, through that filter, and through that heart. But admitting, just like those three queens, or just like Cain and O-Dog, you know, I'm subject to the environment that I'm a part of, and I'm subject to the people that I interact with, and I'm subject to my own notions of myself. Okay, so here's the difference. O-Dog and Cain didn't value their life, so they didn't value the lives of others. So since they didn't value their life, they didn't make great decisions, you know, to take their life to the next level in a positive way. You know, they took their life to the next level, but it was death in jail. Okay, then you have the sisters, Dorothy, Mary, and Catherine. They saw themselves as amazing, and they saw that they were really good, and they knew that they deserved. See, that's the thing. They deserved this because they, unlike everybody else, they earned it. You know, I mean, they basically did what was said to be done, and each time they did it, people just keep coming up with excuses for why they can't do it. And to me, that's how privilege works. Whether there's male privilege or white privilege or anything, you know, that's just how privilege works. You know, it's like the people who are in privileged positions want to stay in that position, and if they don't see you at the same level as themselves, they basically feel like they have the right to make decisions that harm you and that don't allow you to move and don't allow you to grow. Now, the couple people that are online here, you know me actually on a personal level. You know that ain't me. You know, I'm more like them. I'm more like Dorothy, Mary, and Catherine, you know. We're going to make some noise. You got to see the scene when Taraji P. Henson calls out Mr. Harrison in front of everybody. You know, I'm going to just say it's about her going to the bathroom. I'm going to leave it at that. That scene right there, that thing gave me chills. because I feel like in 2016, I did that a lot with people that I work with. I did that a lot. I did that in meetings. I did that in private meetings. I did that in collective conference type meetings. And what I saw is that when you're dealing with the devil, I'm going to say it a couple levels. When you're dealing with the devil, when you're dealing with incompetence, and when you're dealing with systemic inertia that lends itself to racism and sexism continuing to persist, you got to be loud. And you have to be intentional, and you got to be focused with the noise that you make. I'm going to just be real with y'all. Quiet, that's not going to work. Being quiet, sitting back, hoping that people are going to figure it out, that does not work. Now, how do I know that doesn't work? Going back to ministry, that's not what Jesus did. When Jesus whipped them people out of that church because you are misrepresenting what my Father's house is all about, he wasn't quiet about that. He made noise. The reason that the Pharisees set him up in the first place is because he was peacefully, calmly, but he was making noise. So what that tells me is this right here. If you're doing work and everybody likes what you're doing, it's kind of like parenting. If you're parenting and your child loves everything that you do, something's wrong. If you're working in whatever capacity that you're working in, and if everybody is cool with you and everybody likes you and loves you all over the place, and you're not in charge, let me say that, and you're not in charge and you're not in power, something's wrong. That means some noise is not being made in a way. And the one thing that a lot of people avoid is conflict. But my thing is that you're right. That's right. Put that fist. I'm going to put the black fist there. Is that the status quo has to be disrupted. It has to be. The way things are, in our world, it has to be pushed. It has to be challenged. The way things are in our society has to be pushed, and it has to be challenged. And so, and here's the thing about religion and faith. And I'm going to say this, and I'm saying it, one, because there are not a lot of people saying it. People are afraid to say this, and I think some of them are unaware. But even in our religious circles, the status quo has to be pushed, and it has to be challenged. And so, what I want to, and I'm going to say it, I haven't said the words yet. And in Christianity, the status quo, in our religion, in our faith, and our doctrine, it has to be challenged. Anything that is more than 2,000 years old, on a certain level, at a certain point, is going to need an update. Anything that is, anything that's been around for a long time, is going to need an update. That means that some things are going to have to be challenged. And when I look at the way Jesus was in the Bible and in the New Testament, which is in Aramaic, which really is the New Covenant, I want y'all to realize something. I'm not trying to minimize Jesus. Jesus was the update. Jesus was the update to what the church or what the people of Israel knew that they were supposed to be. He was the update for them. He was the he was the lamb. He was the one who was slaughtered, for the good, for the kingdom. But he was the update. He was the change. He was the voice. And so what I'm saying is that there are many of us in our own personal circles and in our own individual circles. We have to be that voice, and we have to make the noise and make some noise. So as I bring this to a close in my basically the last 5 minutes, 2017, I hope you all focus on your own peace and joy, and do what you have to do to be peaceful and to walk in joy. I'm praying for everybody out there. I'm praying for those people who follow me, and I'm asking you to pray for me, that I maintain my strength or grow my strength and my patience, and that I continue to, push this envelope and basically kind of squeeze this washcloth and get all of the negative things out of it, so that we can, start afresh and start anew with something that is more welcoming, that's more inclusive, and that's more open to everybody, including ourselves. I want to invite you to challenge yourself, continue to talk to yourself, and just and ask yourself, what areas in my life do I need to work on? What areas in my life, do I need to check? What areas in my life, do I think need need some help. And it's possible that the way that you've been getting your help and doing things, you may need to try something different. So I want to close with this. This week I had a meeting with a colleague of mine. I actually put an account of this on my SoundCloud. So if you want to go check out soundcloud.com/Thomas-R-Easley, you'll see it right there to be my first two posts. Because this is my 13th year being in the state of North Carolina. 13. And 13 seems to be a number that a lot of people avoid. No 13th floor on an elevator. 365 days in the year. If you divide that equally, it would be 28 days in every month. 1 month having an extra day, that would be 13 months. Jesus had 12 disciples, but they never say 13. Of them, it was always just Jesus and his disciples. So I just seem like there's something about that number, Friday the 13th, and I want to use that number in a positive way. And so I had a meeting with my colleague, and we were talking. He shared with me that he's studying the Kabbalah or the Kabbalah, which is a tenet that's based out of the Torah. That's part of the Jewish religion and the Jewish tradition. And they say, like, when you're done with it, when you're done, I shouldn't say done, but as you go through it, it helps you to learn the mind of God. But I could tell he was conflicted in studying this, because he kept saying, I'm not trying to put this above Jesus. And, he would point back to this picture that he had of Jesus on his wall. He was like, I'm not trying to put this above Jesus, man. I'm not trying to put this above Jesus. And I told him, I said, you don't have to justify you studying the Kabbalah to me. I was like, just like you were doing this, I believe that there's a difference between a Christian and a believer. I believe a Christian is someone who just follows what I'm going to say that the Bible tells them to do. But then a believer is a person who's rooted in the Holy Spirit, grounded by the Holy Spirit. The Bible is your primary source, of feeding of spiritual wisdom. But what you also understand is that as a believer, God can reach you in a multitude of ways. And so going back to now, I want to talk about, say I told him the difference between like a Muslim and a mu'min. That's, you spell it M-U-M-E-E-N. A Muslim is considered basically a follower, just like a Christian is a follower. But a mu'min is a believer. This is a person who practices not the religious aspect of it, but they also practice the spiritual tenets behind it. And so I close by asking him this right here. And I'm going to ask you the same question. Here we go. Is your God, is the God you claim to worship or serve, whichever one, which are really two different things, the God that you believe in, is the God that you believe in bigger than your religion? And that's the question for you to just ponder in your own time. Is the God that you believe in bigger than your religion? Here's the interesting thing. I don't care what you may think. I know the answer right there is yes. Period. When you think about it, you're going to be like, yeah, the answer is yes. And of course the answer is yes. Because you can't just understand God and you really can't study God. It's like, God that's the creator. That's the Almighty. That's the Most High. It's too vast. It's too big. And I'm saying it. I'm not saying he, because I really do think that we've done a number of attaching anthropomorphic qualities to a being or to a deity or to, something that we still don't really fully understand. And so calling it a man, I think also kind of puts women in my opinion, in a position of being less than, because it's like, God, he, but I want to argue that right now. I just want you to ponder that. And if you believe that your God, my God, is bigger than your religion, then what that also means is your reach and those that you impact is bigger than the religious circles that we roll in. So I want to encourage you to work on your own peace and joy. Remember, that's an internal thing. That's a choice that you make. And I want to also encourage us to not be afraid to push the envelope and challenge the status quo, whether it's in our workplace, or whether it's in our religious or spiritual practices, or in this case, with those people who are online, our churches. I hope you have a great rest of today. Yes, I will be continuing to do this, but like I said, I may do it like this, you know, where I'm just doing it with like this private group. So hope you have a good one. You know, if you got any questions, you know, my usual, email me, thomasreasley@easlybranch.com. If you're on Facebook, follow me, facebook.com/Thomas Easley or facebook.com/Rashard Easley if you want to get into the hip hop side of who I am. And then you can get on youtube.com/RASHAADI to follow the channel, and, you know, where I post, you know, like various videos, you know, like this one. Y'all take care. Enjoy. We'll be talking to y'all next week. Peace.